So, Anthony, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me and taking time out of your busy schedule to talk about your new film that's coming out. It's on video on demand on October 10th, and then it's getting this just massive Blu-ray release later in the month, October 24th, I think it is. But I want to thank you. Thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Sarah. So glad to have you here today.
Oh, great.
Thanks
Happy to
for
be
having
here.
us.
Awesome.
Great. So, first off, I got it now. I got a chance to watch it, so I haven't dropped my review yet, but I got a chance to watch it, and oh boy, howdy!
Do you
No,
still want to do the interview?
no. If you knew my taste in films, I've got a signed copy of Poultrygeist on my shelf by Mr.
Oh,
Lloyd
nice.
Kaufman. So don't worry. Okay. Don't worry. I had a blast with this film. This film didn't know what quite to expect. Besides the play on the Caddyshack, name, of course, Caddy Hack. Everything about it was a surprise. So I don't know who would want to do it, but could one of you just give a brief synopsis in your words about what Caddy Hack is about?
Well, basically, to make it the simplest, it's Caddyshack meets Gremlins. That's basically what it is. I mean, there's no going around. So it's what most people are going to say is, it's basically about we have a groundskeeper in this, and he makes his own formula for the grounds, and it ends up mutating the gophers to where they go crazy and start killing people. And plain and simple. There's no more. There's no underlying themes. That's it. I mean, on the back of the DVD box, it would just be that. You know what I mean? Like that's what happened.
It's underlying themes of the socio-political state right now of two warring factions within the European countries and how those no, it's not about that. It's about mutant freaking gophers going nuts at a golf course in wonderful Troma old school full moon fashion.
Awesome.
That's the feeling that I got with this. I consume a lot of indie, and I've consumed a lot of Troma and Full Moon, especially in the 90s. And and this really felt like it had its place in there. Were you influenced by that? Was that what you were kind of going for? I hope so with it.
I mean, everything Troma's in I worked at Troma.
Sure.
So Troma's in my blood. So no matter what I'm trying to do, I can be doing a wedding video for my cousin. Trauma's coming into it somehow. I mean, there's always some kind of trauma in it.
Sure.
I can't, for better or worse, can't get away from Troma coming out, whatever, anything like that. So, and I love Troma films. I love Full Moon. Again, this is all based on those 80s movies that I should have been watching on USA Up All Night, not understanding anything I'm seeing. And then my therapist later on in life says, well, this is what's wrong with you. And
I think
I fell into it.
That seems like the mantra of nearly 80s, every 80s kid, myself included, of, I watched this movie and I was way too young to be watching these movies, but our parents did. They're okay, whatever you want to rent. And you're just like, okay. And you're sitting there and you're going, you're like, wait, what am I watching? Now, Tony, you wrote the script and directed it, wore a few other hats, but Sarah, how did you get attached to this, I dare say, zany horror comedy? Because there's zaniness in here. It just straight up.
Yeah, there is. So Anthony and I have worked together for 20 plus years, and we've done all semblance of goofy movies and projects together. And in recent years, obviously, we've been putting out a few more features, Caddy Hack included. And it's been a fun ride. And we both have our own little zany, like wacky nods to 80s and 90s films and things like that. So it's a good mix, I think.
So was it a good collaboration between you two then? Did you kind of mix ideas, or was Anthony like, we're following my script and that's what we're doing?
No, we have a good
working. Be nice, Sarah. Be nice.
Look, I'm being nice, okay? We have a good working relationship. Obviously, sure. Any kind of partnership will bicker and stuff on set. Sometimes people get uncomfortable about it, but we've been doing this for 20 years, so we know what each other's vision and work flow is like, and it shows, I think, in a lot of the projects we do too. It's a good collaboration. It's never like exactly how it was on the script, but I
Sure.
kind of always enjoy what like me and him put into the talent, the cast, the crew, like everybody puts in their own little spices into this stew, and it turns into something wild every time.
And I think just to add to that, like even though I'm director, writer, and she's editor, producer, together it's DIY. Our company. That's why in the beginning of every movie says a DIY film, not an Anthony Catanese film, because even on set, knowing she's the one sitting there watching the footage, like here's what I'm going to do. Do you think it's going to work for this? And she'll go, it's not going to work. I hate you, and we'll fight for like 2 hours. I'm like, fine, I'll do it like this, but I'm also going to do it like this, and then hopefully, because it's a constant, especially because just knowing the process and working with her for so long, and being, again, our day jobs are both video editors, day jobs, and so that we know what goes in once everything's done. I always try to make sure we're getting everything, so when we sit down at the computer to edit, she doesn't want to stab me, and I don't want to cut my own throat, and I don't want to make life. It's going to be a nightmare no matter what. But you know what I mean? More of like fun nightmare, like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, not Nightmare on Elm Street 5, a horrible night. So we really do work. It's whatever word, whatever
Fluid.
fluid together.
But that pays off, because I think some newer indie filmmakers don't always have people around them that are comfortable to come up to them and go, yeah, that sucked. Okay,
Right.
do that again, or maybe not in so many words, but say you may want to do that again. That just didn't come off right, or let's try it this way. But it sounds like you two have that comfortable enough relationship working together so long that
we will not hesitate to tell each other and say things that most people, and again, people think we're fighting and stuff, but we're just like, no, we're just, because once it's over, it's just like we're back to like how we are now. It's like everyone's like, you guys okay? We're like, yes, we're working. Because basically, other than like our camera person or sound, we're a crew. We're you know what I mean? We're like doing,
yeah.
And so things do tense. I don't think there's ever been anything where we're like, but it's just the way we have to be, especially with both of us knowing. There's a lot of people also on set. They're like, I'm on set and I'm here, and they don't realize the months of work that are going to go after it, or the months of work we do before it.
Sure.
Because again, we can plan, especially if you're an independent filmmaker. You can sit there and plan all you want. I always get people go, should I do storyboard? Should I do this? I'm like, you can. It ain't gonna hurt. But when you get on fucking set and it's nothing, because 90% any filmmaker out there, if you made you're not, or you're thinking about making, once you have your shots and all, that's beautiful and it's fun, but 98% of your job is solving problems. Well, this isn't working. That's not working. This isn't working. How do you make this work right now? That's really what your job is. It's not like going, oh, this is going to be a beautiful, cool shot that forever. It's how the fuck do I fucking do this? And how do I do 50 fucking scenes in 3 fucking hours? Like, that's really what your job is. Sorry for all the cursing. I don't know.
No, you can curse. That's fine. There's plenty of people that curse. Absolutely. Right. We are quite open to cursing here. Okay. Trust me. Well, and you mentioned the tension and stuff, but in front of the camera for Caddy Hack, I just loved the entire energy of this, and also the no holds barred in your humor, your parody, the obvious satire that you have in here with the head of the golf course, which the name of the golf course alone, Old Glory Hole. Your humor in here and everything, you don't hold back, and I love seeing that from an indie filmmaker, even if some of the jokes don't land for me. But this one, I was laughing pretty much throughout. Where you don't hold back. Were there times when you're doing a joke or a scene and you're just like, maybe we cut that out?
We did cut a. You did. Yeah, there were some where we're like, yeah, I'm like on the floor rolling, and she's like, no. But the funny thing about this movie is I'm gonna say this, and Sarah, I think will agree with me. We did hold back. Everything. We usually go, or I'm gonna say me, but I usually push shit to the extreme. Where this one, I'm like, and I didn't realize it until we started showing people the movie and stuff. I thought this was like a calm, nice family. I thought this was like a PG movie. I'm like, I don't know, this doesn't seem too bad to me. And then people are like, oh my God, you said this and you did that. I'm like, I don't know. That seemed okay. Again, I'm from fucking Tromaville. I don't like it. This is fucking a cartoon. I can show my kids this if they ever fucking reach out and never talk to me again. But yeah, we did. I'm gonna say I held back a lot. I tried to make like a PG movie that my mom would enjoy, and she still looked at me like, I raped a cat in front of her,
So, Sarah, were you kind of the voice of reason on set at times?
Sometimes I was, sometimes I was not. We've always kind of had a back and forth where I just wanted to like have a film where my family could come, and they're very straight-laced folk,
Sure.
my family, and not this film, but the previous film. My father came to the premiere, and he was very proud of me and happy, but he was kind of like, "Don't invite me here again."
Well,
So I tried to take that into this, and there were a few jokes that I was like, we should probably pull this. But I do want to mention that so we filmed this in 2018, so it was a whole different time.
Yeah.
Right.
And during production or during post, we were kind of thinking like, oh man, some of these jokes are going to be so dated. Like some of the satire and stuff isn't going to make sense. But here we are in 2023, and some of it still kind of works,
which is kind of like upsetting in a way, because we were doing it and nobody wants to mention the reference that we referenced.
I'm not going to mention it. No,
it's a huge, the biggest maybe you've never heard.
It's the biggest. People tell you it's the biggest. Right. It's the biggest. Yeah, reference.
And once that was kind of over, I was like, oh, is this going to even matter anymore? Like, is it so done? And then unfortunately, we still are fucking living in it. And I'm like, oh man. And again, I hate it that we are living in it, but for the movie, I'm like, okay, good. At least it's a little more. I'm like, thanks at least for Caddy Hack. Thank you for being.
Thank you. Thank you.
One good thing came out of everything.
Thank you, judicial system. Now my film is still relevant. Yep.
But I was hoping it wouldn't be, in all honesty.
But even so, even if your biggest joke or your biggest reference, which again I loved the reference. I was like, the first time I saw the character, I was like, huh. And then I see him in his office with the outfit, and I'm just like, oh. and I
didn't think we were going as heavy-handed with it, and then I watched them. Oh yeah, we went with it.
When it was first, when they were first introduced, when the one character was introduced, you're like, oh, okay, kind of subtle, but yeah, you definitely just put it. You put all your cards on the table there, and I loved it though. I liked the boldness of it. I loved self-referential stuff in here as well, of how you're going, well, it's halfway through the movie. This is my first scene. We're halfway through the movie.
We're 20 minutes in. You know what that means? Just for people who are looking at their watches, like, oh, how long
are we actually 20 minutes in? But yeah, I because a movie like this, I think if it took itself like a little more serious horror film, I don't think works. But the vein and direction you take it really works. And in all honesty, when you take it in this spirit that you have it in, this smaller budget horror comedy that's truly zany, you got even cartoon sound effects at one point, kind of like Beakman's World at parts, and all of that. When you realize this is what you're going for, and you can relax, and you even are more accepting of some things, like your monstrous gophers, who I loved. How many did you actually have, and how many were just shot again and then kind of mixed in for your big gremlin moment, if you will?
We had 6 total gophers.
Did you really?
Yes.
Nice.
And a lot of production. Like, we wrapped the cast as fast as we could. We did have some pickup shots later on, whatever, but a lot of the shooting was just shooting all of those gophers in different ways, and to kind of make it look like a lot of different gophers.
We did have 6 gophers, and then like 7 pairs of teeth or something.
Sure.
Just and then we tried again with the eyes as the movie goes on, as tell the difference between the two of them.
Sure. Well, you could, especially like I say in the Gremlins moment, which the minute I watched the scene where they invade a little spoiler, folks, when you have some of your creatures happen upon the Caddy Shack, where caddies are allowed, and you have that whole montage of stuff, I'm just sitting there going, oh man, this is like, I was like, this is like an X-rated Gremlins scene from, when they're in the bar, but it's far more mature.
As I said, we're gonna rip off Gremlins, and we'll pay homage. That's what we say when we rip things off. We got to go bigger. Like Gremlins was like this. Gremlins 2 went like this. We wanted to go like this. Like, okay, you can't. No one. I wanted to make it so no one could ever do a Gremlins homage again with that without going. Did you see the Caddy Hack one?
Yeah. I mean, that's good. But did you guys see Caddy Hack?
Yeah.
Did you see that scene with Caddy Hack?
Or they could even say, "Wow, that was amazing. Did you see that Caddy Hack one?" I'd be happy either way, as long as they, mention the Caddy Hack.
Which I really appreciate you did use practical in here. You could have easily gone CGI with all of it, and use not only does CGI low budget or even big budget data film usually, but especially with smaller indie films, it can be a bit distracting for some folks who might not be used to that aesthetic. And here you used practical in different composited shots. I mean, was there an urge to use CGI, or did you always want to do practical?
I think what made the deciding factor was money.
Yeah.
And also I didn't want to blow my brains out trying to do, again, we're two people, to just even doing the eyeballs, and Sarah will attest to this, was a nightmare in itself. Now, to do CGI gophers. Also, I'm not a big fan of CGI. I kind of like when things are there. We can make it happen. I know what's happening. We've done CGI in other movies where, like, I'll be like, some people do it, and I get it back, and I'm like, what is it? Like, well, that's what you think $5 is going to get you, dude. So it's kind of like, as long as we can see it, people at certain points could interact with it. We could have a lot more fun with it. And also with this movie being as dumb as we wanted it to be, like, I think it could have been funny for like a minute if we did like bad CGI. But I think as a whole, I think the joke would be lost. Where at least with the puppets, we can keep manipulating them and doing different things with them to keep it going interesting and things like that.
Well, then it plays off your parody of Caddyshack, because you had the gopher puppet. I mean, it was a puppet. It wasn't like it was, he's doing his little move.
And it looked fake. It wasn't like it was a realistic looking gopher,
It did it. Now, Sarah, I saw you as well as Anthony, you both mentioned that you wear many hats. The cast that you had here, was this a lot of people that you had worked with before? Did you have to search out some folks? How did this cast come together? Because they all seem to just jive together, like mesh together, like instantly on screen.
So we did do a casting call, but we also pulled from a few folks that we've worked with in the past, one of which was involved in a improv group. So we had that person as well as their improv group audition with us, and pulled a lot of folks from there too, just because they kind of have a built-in chemistry. I think all told, like between the cold audition, the improv group, and our normal pool of very talented local actors and actresses, I think we had like a really good like feel on set. Everyone got along. They're all friends. Like, it's kind of nice. Like, there was a lot of hurry up and wait happening on set, so they got to hang out a lot.
Well, that's great, because you do feel that chemistry on set between the caddies. Even the supposed villain, the caddy manager, played wonderfully by Chrissy Cavallo, Becky character. She was great. I love.
She's a lot of fun. She also helped work on the gopher costumes and stuff too.
Yep. Yeah. And she worked with us in our last movie, Girls Without Blood. She was in that. And she actually works at a golf club. That's her day job. She runs the drink cart.
Oh, so nice.
She had more of an understanding of golf, I think, when I was writing it, and when we were talking about, like, is this what they do? How does this work? When they're on the golf course? Because when I tried doing research, it was just like, just like doing research on golf is even more boring than watching it. So, not that I don't like golf, because if you like golf out there, I love golf. Watch the movie, please. But
So yeah, naturally, two people who know little to nothing about golf. Let's
Sure.
make a golf movie.
right.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you're able to make the satire then because you're not quite sure what to do. So you just, oh, this kind of looks fun, goofy.
Just balls. Balls, right?
It's balls.
That's all it
Lots
is,
of balls.
A lot of ball jokes.
Oh my God, the ball gimmick for I'm just laughing and it just keeps going and I'm just laughing and I'm like, okay, they're gonna stop now. And they don't, they just you still just keep going. But
That was one of the things. That's one of the things when you say, "Are we fighting about things?"
Yeah.
That was a fight. I was like, "Just keep the balls going." She's like, "They were already done with the balls." I'm like, "You don't understand. Men find getting hit the balls hilarious." She's like, "Maybe I just don't get it." I'm like, "Just keep it in there, please."
That debate went on for ages.
He hated it. He hated every minute of it.
Which one, the hitting in the balls or the ball puns?
The hitting in the
Both.
balls,
The hitting in the
mostly.
balls.
Anything with balls, I was like, "I don't know balls. It's a golf balls." I don't know.
He cleaned the balls the best. He
Yeah.
grasped them. He threw. I just because the thing is, it felt like a group of guys talking. That's the whole thing. Is that when they just keep running like that, when you get an idea. I've been in groups personally where the joke will just keep going, where you just keep going, even it might be longer than what you might want. But I think all of your gimmicks in here are they run just the right amount of length. They're not like an SNL skit. Yeah, I threw that out there because SNL skits have that. They have it to where a skit will go too long, where you get the funny and then you're just like, yeah, you guys could wrap it. I was actually part of an improv comedy troupe in college.
Cool.
And we were called Delicious Ambiguity. It was based off of a biography by the lady who played Rosanna Dana. Yeah, Gilda Radner. Yeah, it was based off of her biography. That's where they got their name from. And it was a lot of fun, but there is that comedic timing that's tough. It is, what did you find with a challenge with the comedy? What was the biggest challenge with the comedy when you were doing it? Was it the timing? Was it trying to, shoot it? How you're going to do this funny? What sound effects? I mean, how what would you find one of the biggest challenges?
Like it was like a lot of the comedy was on the page, and I feel like the biggest challenge was, if anything, was just like, okay, bring it down. You know what I mean? Let's bring it down. And also like, okay, this guy's doing that. You don't all need to do that at the same time. You know what I mean? Just that. And really just like we said earlier, like, ooh, did we go too far with that? Because in the speech that Hambone gives, we have a longer and it's still to me one of the funniest things. But I don't know. Maybe you might find it funny. I don't even think we put it on the special features because it was kind of a little too much.
Yeah, we pulled.
I like it when things go too far, but again, we were trying not to be, our movies, we made Sodomaniac. So this time we're just trying to be like, let's be a little more broad. But I think for the most part, they all killed it, really. Everybody, I have no complaints about the comedy. And again, like I say, as a director, I don't like doing line readings. I don't like to tell people how to say it. I'm like, okay, you have the script, the jokes are there. And unless like they're really not like understanding, sometimes people don't understand the jokes. Like, what does this even mean? I'm like, just say it. Don't worry about it. But I don't understand why I'm doing this. I'm like, well, okay, look, I don't have time to explain it to you. Just do it, and I'll explain it to you. You'll understand it later when we lose them. But I think everybody, honestly, everybody did a great job. I don't think there's really any. If there's any complaints about the comedy, it'd be my writing. Maybe I wasn't funny enough. Or if you didn't, I mean, that's something I can say. If you blame me, if you don't find it funny or you find it juvenile, that's my fault. I can't really complain about anybody else. I think they all nailed everything that's supposed to be there.
I think it's in context though, because while some of the jokes may feel, as you mentioned, juvenile to some, the over spirit of the film, it's fitting. And so therefore, when you're watching it, you're allowing yourself to laugh, even if it might be like the ball running joke, or getting the ball, all of that. Or the guy in the background reading golf boobs.
Yeah. Oh, you call it golf boobs. That's one of my favorites.
The Golf Boobs magazine. All of those jokes, they fit within the world that you create. And I think if you could set up what the world is, which is what you do pretty quickly here, I think those jokes land better than if you come off like, oh, we're being this serious, and then oh look, here's a joke, and then we're being all serious again. Now I know you guys, you can't do serious, because I did see High Fear, and I did see the was it the street the city
watching?
Yes, and I really enjoyed that short. The idea of, you know, I like short films. I like watching them. I review them on my channel when some people don't. I like them because they're usually lean, mean, and you're always waiting for that kind of shoe to drop, for that other shoe to drop with the story. Like, you know, it's going this way, but what's the hook at the end? What's the, and you had that with there. And, you know, when I saw that you had done that, and I remembered that short, I like, that is a contrast to Caddy Hack by quite a bit. But I think they both work, and this one just, Caddy Hack's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
What would you say was one thing, and I know we're getting short on time, but what was one thing that you thought was going to be a challenge? Like, man, you know, you're writing on paper, you're planning it, you two are you're debating, you're like, this is going to be really hard, but then you got to the day or time when you shot it, and it was just easy, like it flowed like water, like, wow, that went really well. Was there a moment during the film?
I mean, mine, I was really nervous about the music video, or the musical number. Just because, again, we do a lot of music videos, like that's our bread and butter, kind of. I was like, okay, we could do this, but I know the actors aren't used to doing that. And then like kind of getting the certain spots where we can film, because when we shot that too, it was months. I think we were done. Like, we were pretty much done with principal photography. We shot that like in my friend's mom's backyard. He's like, well, my mom's got a lake. I'm like, okay, that kind of, there's a lake. I don't know, as long as we shoot. But and she happened to have a golf cart. And I was like, oh, she has a golf cart on her property? Like, perfect. But that was the one thing I was like, oh, I hope this kind of works out. And it's not, it's just, it works. And it seems to be everyone's favorite part of the movie. So I'm like, okay, that worked out very well. And I knew we could do it, but it was just going to be, can we pull it off? You know what I mean? Will it work within the movie?
You didn't want it to feel rushed, because the whole point of that is it not feeling rushed and feeling natural.
And will people understand, like, will they understand why this is happening? And are they going to accept it? And I guess now that, again, we had no clue what the movie ran like, you know. Now when you watch it, you're like, oh, of course you're going to bust in a musical number here. I mean, what else would you do? But at the time I was like, oh, I don't know if this is, I hope this works, you know. What did you think was the most difficult, Sarah? Is there something you thought would be difficult that wasn't?
There were things that were difficult, and I thought they'd be difficult for one reason and ended up being difficult for another. That seems to be a running thing with all DIY productions. The final scene was probably one of the more difficult things, just because it involved a lot of like practical effects happening, as well as the entire cast, and the light. Like, I give credit to our camera guys and the lighting guy, who is the same guy, because he was trying to light he was trying to light a very vast area, and we actually had to split up that shoot, so we lost the location for half of it and had to recreate it in my backyard. But I'm not going to tell you where the cut is for that, but
well, you can't tell. So
yeah,
good job there.
It was very difficult to wrap that up. It was freezing cold that day. It was a long day for everyone too, and we ran out of blood, so we had to do it again.
Yeah.
Was there a hard part though that was actually easier than you thought?
No, everything was just, I can tell you things I thought were going to be easy that were hard. So no, it's easy. I saw a kid do a tutorial on YouTube. He's 10. He can do this. And I'm sitting there like, but I mean, I don't know. Anything I thought was gonna be hard that was easy. So I always think everything's gonna be hard. I stress out about everything. So.
That's the joys of filmmaking, right?
There's joy in this.
That's what I'm told. I've been on set a couple times myself. I got to be a script supervisor for a film, so I got to experience it in a smelly barn in the roof. It's 13 hours. It's like 1 a.m, and
Yeah.
you and 2 other guys are sitting there. You're watching them try to decide how to hit this dummy so the blood lands right, and how does that actually look on camera. And it smells, and you know, I still enjoyed that. I really liked that. And even though stressful times and whatnot, at the end, you get a project like you have here with Caddy Hack. It's a fun, you know, not serious, just balls to the wall comedy where you can tell maybe a little restrained, but still more than what people might expect. And I think those fans of these type of films, like we mentioned, Trauma, Full Moon, you know, even the Caddyshack movie, the old kind of cheesy films of the 80s that are going to get all your references in here and appreciate it because you made a film that also does that. Sometimes films do it where they're gimmicks or they're film, they're not both, and you managed to bring them together here. And I had fun. I was smiling
So much. I'm glad I love to see that
Awesome.
smile.
the dance off for me is where I lost it. I'm like, oh, come on, really? A dance?
And that's the point in the movie where you're either in or out.
Yep.
You get to the dance off, it's like, okay, this is where it's going to go off the rails. So if you didn't enjoy this dance off, you just return the DVD or give it to your weird cousin, you know?
So where can people follow you so they don't miss out on your next project you got coming up?
You want to go to our website, and our company name is DIY, but it's like why am I doing this? So it's DIWHY films.com.
With a
And you
question
can
mark
follow our
too.
movies there, merch there, get updates. And again, you can check out if you like what we do, like visually and stuff, that we do tons of music videos. You can check out there. And yeah, that's definitely the hub. And then from there, you can find us on social media, say hi, be our friends, please. And you know, even if you hate the stuff, send us hate mail. I need mail.
You need feedback. You got to get it one way or the other.
I can't get better if you don't tell me that I suck, you know?
Exactly. Well, thank you both very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, folks, check this out. October 10th on digital, October 24th on physical media, getting just this chock full of extras and such that if you're a physical media fan like myself, and I see Sarah, I loved your I love your shelf in the back. I was distracted by
you.
your shelf. I'm like, that's a beautiful collection of physical media, especially Disney clamshells. Hey, there you go. But yeah, check it out, folks. Caddy Hack. I think you'll have a lot of fun. So thank you both.